Hello, everybody. Welcome to CoinFund Q&A. Today we have Robin, Roger, and Dave from HelloGold, which is the gold-backed token. Hi, guys. Welcome. Thank you very much for joining us today. Do you guys want to give us a quick overview on what your project is and what it's doing in the blockchain space?
Okay, so basically, the underlying product is to bring a better financial savings product and a better financing product for the underserved and the unbanked. And we believe that gold is the right asset for that. In terms of the blockchain, what we're doing is that we're doing two things. First of all, we are using the blockchain as a means by which we can record our customer transactions and key customer data, because we think that's much better than the traditional database. Secondly, what we want to do with the token sales specifically is to digitize gold-backed tokens so that literally anyone, anywhere can save without having to be in country where we operate. We believe that through a tokenized version of gold, we can provide this platform to anywhere in the world. Just today, for example, I just got a request from a NGO in Tanzania that wants to try and create a micro savings and borrowing product for refugees in Africa. And this is precisely the kind of thing that we want to achieve through the tokenized version of our product.
So let's start with the basics here. When you say gold-backed token, what does that mean?
So each token will be backed by a gram of gold, which will be physically vaulted in Singapore. And the idea is that the token should be freely transferable amongst anyone, and they can be assured that there's a chunk of gold backing it. So unlike other tokens, the value of this token is going to track the price of gold. So people, the ordinary people, the man in the street, can have assurance that it's more stable than their local currency in challenging economies, where their local currencies are a lot more unstable.
Okay, so what does that mean for, like, how does it physically work? Does that mean that you will basically get some of these gold repositories in Singapore to honor a digital token as a certificate for ownership of gold?
No. So let's take the Tanzania example as a case study. Basically, as people save and save up, say, $1, they transfer the dollar to us, and we convert that dollar into gold, and therefore into a gold-backed token against that gold that they bought. And when they need it, they can sell it to they can transfer it to anyone they want. And hopefully, over time, if they're able to save enough, like say $100 US, and they're saving for their children's education or a wedding, and there's an emergency, we can provide a lending facility that will give them an affordable loan against that gold as collateral. So every time someone saves in fiat, we're going to buy gold against that and create a gold-backed token against that.
So the gold that is being custodied by your company in this case?
Yeah, no, we use a third-party provider. We're not specialists in the custody space. So it's customary for gold products like this to use an independent custodian, and we do the same. And the independent custodian is audited by a specialist precious metals firm to make sure that the gold is there, is of the right quality and quantity.
But the entity which owns the gold is your firm that will honor sort of a token exchange rate between these tokens and gold?
We actually don't own the gold. The customers own the gold. So we just manage their gold for them. So it's not like a bank where you put money into the bank and the bank is a creditor to you and you're a debtor in the bank's balance sheet. The gold is actually physically, legally owned by the end customer. It isn't actually owned by us. So it's much safer in that sense. Got it.
And so what does HelloGold look like from the perspective of the, I guess, consumer or end user?
Well, HelloGold is a very simple platform for the man in the street. It's hopefully incredibly intuitive. The feedback that we've gotten so far from our launch in Malaysia is that it's extremely simple to use. The analogy I would say is this: for the man in the street, when they buy a mobile phone, they don't actually naturally want to find out what kind of microchips in there, what kind of processing speed it has. They just want to know it has the features that they need. So from the mass market perspective, for the man in the street perspective, they just need to know that the gold's safe. They can buy at an affordable price that is fair and in line with international prices. It's available 24/7, and hopefully over time, as we expand across the world, they can get financing against that. That what we promise them, they get effectively. How we manage it and the technology that we use, for the man in the street, that's not of a major concern for them.
Got it. And can you guys talk a little bit about, who you are and how you got into blockchain and sort of what your roles are in the company?
Okay, sure. So why don't I start, and I'll hand over to Roger and Dave. This idea really came about probably about 5 years ago when I was working for an organization called the World Gold Council. And I was CFO of the world's largest gold fund with about $30 billion of assets under management. But that was primarily for the wealthy, the 2%. And basically, I also did some work for ICBC, the bank in China, where we supported them in creating a mass market product where literally you could buy gold for 1 RMB, for less than $1 at a time. And that crystallized an idea that I could do something like this using technology to really create a product that can accelerate financial inclusion through the digitization and democratization of gold. And so 2 years ago, we started assembling a team. Roger used to work with me at the World Gold Council, and Dave I met in Singapore when I started to explore from a risk management perspective what was the best technology that we should use to make sure that our client assets are protected. And it was through that we decided that blockchain was actually the way to go for our needs, for our customers. And maybe Dave can talk about the blockchain and how we're implementing that for our customers' protection. Dave?
Sometimes it helps if you close down the browser and just restart, as that often resets the audio. Roger, do you want to, meanwhile, talk about a little bit?
I met Robin about 6 years ago when I was working at the World Gold Council. I remember talking about this kind of concept or something similar to this concept, sitting in an airport lounge with Robin waiting to come back from the US, where we've been doing a lot of work on GLD there, obviously because it's New York Stock Exchange listed. And we talked about these ideas, and then just a little over a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago now, Robin called me up and said, come and work for me in KL and come and help me run this business and set it up and effectively become the coup doing all the operational side of the business. Now, whether that means I do everything from working with the tech team, solving the problems, setting up the structures that they need, to dealing with all the partners and anything that needs to basically make the business run, as well as providing some gold experience and some knowledge about how the gold industry works. So making sure that we know, when you talked about how does it actually work down in Singapore, it's about dealing with the partners down there, dealing with understanding the way that the gold industry actually works. Because Robin and I actually set up the kilo bar trading down in Singapore 5 years ago, I think now. So that's an experience and a contacts and network that we leverage to make sure that this all works operationally efficiently.
Is Dave back? Still not there. So why don't I talk to you about, I'll explain a bit further about what we mean by a risk management perspective. And one of the challenges that we believe that any financial services firm has, no matter how big or small they are, is a propensity to be hacked. And the challenges that brings to customer records and therefore customer assets. And that is first and foremost in our minds, because the people who will become our customers wherever they happen to be, are the least able to withstand any shocks to the wallets that they hold their funds and their wealth in. So for us, making sure that they have the best possible protection in terms of asset protection as well as data protection is fundamentally important. And we believe that using the blockchain mitigates that risk significantly more than a traditional database. So that was the primary motive for bringing blockchain onto our business. I mean,
security was the primary motive.
Sorry?
Security was the primary motive?
Yes, because, you know, we have the 98% of the world that we're trying to target who have very little else to fall back on if we fail as in terms of security. We need to make sure that things work. Dave.
Can you hear me?
Okay, yes.
Hello, Dave.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Go ahead. You want to add to that?
So I missed a bit of that. But,
basically, we use the blockchain for the HelloGold platform.
Yeah, okay. So basically, when I met Robin, I've been working on some customized blockchain projects. When I came into it, I started looking at Ethereum. And as a Go programmer, as well as an Ethereum guy, I like getting into the depths of things like the Geth engine. But the blockchain seems, the Ethereum blockchain seems ideally suited for what we're doing. In terms of the back end of what we're doing, the national Malaysian side of things, we do it with blockchain. In terms of the tokens will be on a public blockchain. One of the things about Robin is that he likes everything transparent and auditable. And so, that is what we're trying to achieve by bringing the blockchain into this.
So, David, sounds
like
your background is in tech. Is that correct?
Yeah, right. I mean, I started programming in 1968. So, and I've never stopped since, really. It's like, basically up in KL, we've got this massive house. I have a room there. I come out for coffee, food, and meetings, and that's about it. Yeah.
What is sort of your role in the HelloGold team in terms of technology?
Basically, I'm okay. When we were starting it up, I was building our first cut of it, because whenever you build anything for the market, it is going to morph 100 times in the first 3 months. So the first version we did was like a traditional back-end database sort of implementation, so that we could adjust it to everything that was happening. And I was doing the microservices on that, the bits where we talk to all the external entities, like the gold provider, like the currency providers, and so on, like the payment providers. And then when we had everything on that side in place, the people doing the apps and stuff was continuing to develop. Then I started designing the core contract for us to implement the same thing using a blockchain. Right? There are many people who will have like a religious thing and say private blockchains and are just databases, but the key thing is we have a number of competing parties in this. So, for example, we have a lending organization. I don't know if you know of them, Aon Credit. They're a very large Japanese conglomerate. They will be doing the lending. We're looking for more partners. So we will have competing parties on a private, probably proof of authority blockchain. Does that kind of answer it?
Yeah. So are you building, what is the platform or platforms upon which the decentralized portion or the smart contract portion of the product is being built?
Okay. So obviously the gold-backed tokens the ones which come about as a result of the token sale will be on the on the public Ethereum network. There's no other way you can do that, right? And we've got two kinds of tokens. The initial ones in the token sale, which then, I'm sure Robin's explained this, it's so like the HelloGold tokens in it's hard to say, but basically you end up accumulating gold-backed tokens as they're apportioned by the HelloGold Foundation.
This is actually something that we didn't dive into yet. Robin, do you want to
sure.
You want to talk a little bit about the tokens?
Okay. So we'll put that on mute. Dave, can you put that on mute?
Sorry? Yeah, sure.
Yes. Okay, so the gold-backed token is the product that we want to create and make accessible to the rest of the world. The token sale itself will generate, for supporters of the token sale, HelloGold tokens. And the HelloGold tokens will then give us the funds that we require to build out our platform and services, of which one product will be the gold-backed token. Now, in terms of reward for the HelloGold token holders, we plan to transfer 10% of our fee income from assets under management in the form of gold to the foundation. And the foundation then can in turn choose to reward HelloGold token holders the gold in the form of gold-backed tokens. So effectively, everyone that holds HelloGold tokens will get a proportion of our fee income in the form of gold-backed tokens, which is fully backed. So we're creating two tokens, in effect, from this token sale.
So is it that you're taking 10% of the AUM or 10% of the turnover?
10% of our fee income that we get from our AUM.
Okay, got it. So when a transaction happens between two users, they'll pay you a transaction fee, and that is what goes to the foundation?
Not precisely that. So if, say, you buy 100 grams of gold and you store that gold with us for a year, we charge a 2% fee for the management of that gold. Is that 2%? It's like the mutual fund annual management fee. It will be that 2% that we give, effectively 10% from HelloGold, the business, to the foundation.
Got it. And then the foundation would, at its discretion, kind of reward HelloGold token holders?
Exactly, yeah. And they'll reward them by creating gold-backed tokens.
Are HelloGold tokens ERC20 compatible Ethereum tokens?
Yes, they are, yeah.
Is the gold-backed token the same?
Yes, yeah.
And is there any reason why the foundation wouldn't do a distribution like that?
No, I can't. There are no reasons why it shouldn't. No.
Okay. And is there any other utility to the HelloGold tokens other than being a future economic interest in those fees?
Sorry, can you repeat that question?
Is there any other utility to HelloGold tokens other than being an economic interest in the future fees of the platform?
Potentially, we have a lot of plans beyond the first 5 years of what we want to do with HelloGold, the platform, but for the unbanked and the underserved. But the reality is this: is that for the vast majority of people that don't have access to modern banking facilities, they only really truly understand gold. But the good news is that if we're successful in making them our customers and they trust our product and they like what we do, as we expand our products and services, we can then create more benefits for HelloGold token holders. But the first thing is, the reality is this: is for the vast majority of people around the world, they get three things, right? They get the cash they use every day because they know how much they get to spend. They get to use, they understand inherently the utility of having a roof over their head, and they get gold. I mean, everything else from a wealth preservation or wealth generation perspective is far more complicated than that. Having said that, once we get these customers in, we want to hopefully be able to educate them along the way so that they can move on to more sophisticated financial products that folks in New York or Singapore have the benefit of enjoying and having the option to choose.
So one way to look at a gold-backed token is as kind of a stable coin or store of value. And then another way to look at a gold-backed token is that you have a kind of blockchain world, crypto asset compatible like exposure to gold. What do you think is the in that context? What is the most important value prop of such a token?
Well, I think they're both equally important, right? In today, at least today, I mean, who knows what's going to happen in the next 24 months, let alone the next 5 years. But at least in today's world, if you have a portfolio of tokens, they're all inherently volatile. So when you want to go underweight from a traditional financial portfolio perspective, you kind of have to cash out into fiat. So with the creation of the gold-backed token, you now have kind of like your crypto version of risk-free, if that makes sense. And we think that's going to be incredibly valuable for the cryptocurrency world for the foreseeable future until cryptocurrencies start to stabilize and you see a more diversified portfolio of instruments. Then, from a mass market perspective, and this is where HelloGold, I guess, is really focused on. We believe that tokenization is fundamentally important for financial inclusion. But to get people comfortable with what a Bitcoin is or what Ether is, takes a lot of effort. And if you can start baby steps by using gold, something that they're comfortable with, then hopefully they can start that journey now rather than 5 years down the track.
So there's a few things to be said there. One is that, so you're absolutely right. When you're trading in digital assets, you sometimes want to take your money off the table or to secure profits, right? And today, probably the most effective way of doing that is to go into fiat. There's kind of like two things that you're trying to escape. One is the volatility of crypto assets, which is typically very, very high, and even in the most liquid, stable one, stable one, which is Bitcoin. Well, I mean, there are more stable ones than Bitcoin, certainly, but I kind of feel like people cash out to Bitcoin, more often than not. Yeah. So volatility is one thing that you're escaping, but you're also escaping sort of the systemic risks of that system. Yeah. Right? So from that standpoint, like, would you say that like the system that you're building, still has a fair amount of systemic risk? Like to what extent does the gold-backed token rely on the continued centralized operation of your company here?
Oh, I mean, it does in the sense that we have to manage we will have to manage the custodial side of things. So in that sense, it is centralized. But the reality is that when it's the risks of decentralizing, for example, our custodial services into multiple locations. We looked at that in a previous life, and we decided that was on paper, a great way of diversifying risk, but actually the reality is that it doesn't actually diversify away the risk significantly. In fact, we concluded that it increased the risk because thieves in the real world can take away smaller chunks of gold than a big chunk of gold. So having centralized, it was at the end of the study, a much better option. Secondly, our gold is fully insured. So even if it's stolen, physically stolen, it is insured. And thirdly, if you think about the inherent security of wallets, etc., I mean, the risk of loss is in some regards no different, from what people are facing today in today's world. Now, who knows where this will go in the next 12 months, and hopefully there'll be better services that can protect people's portfolio of digital assets. But coming back to your point, about volatility and whether it's useful. I mean, what we see today is actually no different from how gold performs in the traditional world. When there are systemic shocks, whether it's the 07-08 crisis, 97-98 in Asia, all the assets in the portfolio, all the asset classes in the portfolio went south, and gold popped up. It was negatively correlated during times of systemic shock. Until there's a better mousetrap created over time, we think that gold in its digital form can provide that role for digital asset portfolios.
Very cool. Awesome. Can you talk a little bit about sort of your team in general? I know you have probably about 8 people or so kind of listed. We like to ask blockchain startups on this program kind of how they look at their fundraising roadmap. So, most of them who come through here are heading toward a token sale. You guys are certainly coming up on your token sale. Like, how have you funded the company to date, and how many people work for you today? And sort of like, what's your roadmap there?
Okay, so we have we've been doing this for about 2 years now, and we've been funded up until this point. And actually, we've just recently closed our Series A just this month. So we've been funded by traditional investors, primarily friends and family and high net worths. The team is now 15, actually, so we don't have everyone in the current draft. We're putting all their photos on in the next draft of the documentation. We have about six folks on the tech side, and we have 2 on customer service, and we have 4 in sales and marketing. And then you have, because effectively we're a financial services platform, we have an accountant, we have legal counsel to make sure that we stick to existing regulations in the areas that we operate under, and because we partner with them.
It's based in Singapore, is that correct?
So right now the team is based in KL in Malaysia. We're headquartered out of Singapore. Singapore, as you know, is a developed market, so we don't actually see a need for a product such as ours, because the number of underserved and unbanked is significantly less. We're focused on serving the folks in emerging markets. Having said that, we are headquartered at Singapore, and that's where most of our fundraising activities take place.
Gotcha. But you anticipate sort of having operations more in places more like Malaysia?
Yeah, Malaysia. We plan to go to Thailand, into China early next year, and then Indonesia, Philippines toward the end of next year. We're in discussions right now with JV in the Middle East to basically provide services into challenging economies that are under severe stress, like in Egypt, Syria, Libya, and all that. We've had some initial discussions in Central Asia. I kind of called out the preliminary discussion I just had this morning about Tanzania. Those are places that we feel really need this product. Folks like yourself in America, apart from the digital asset play, you have the whole smorgasbord of financial products at your doorstep, or on your fingertips.
Sure. So I want to come back to fundraising, but while we're on the topic, this is really interesting. What kind of insights can you guys give us about these sort of underserved markets, some of these Asian markets, some of these African markets? Like, are they ripe for using this kind of technology? Like, it seems to me you need like very good like smartphone penetration, you need like good internet access, and you need some semblance of like identity, right, to get it done. So how do you see these markets kind of, are they ready to go?
Yeah, actually, they're probably more ready than you might think, because I mean, one of the first things I talked with a former colleague of mine when I came back to Asia was, I'm building this thing. Should I do SMS? Because smartphones are really expensive. Or should I go to smartphone? I said, don't even bother with SMS. Just do smartphone, because if you go around the streets and you look at construction workers, they're all using the smartphones because they're tethering on to free Wi-Fi to call home. So you can rightly challenge the quality, and they don't all have iPhones, okay, but they're all Androids, and they use them to make calls back home. and for messaging services. So nearly everyone has a smartphone, at least in the Asian time zone, and I think to a certain degree also true in the Middle East and North Africa. Then in terms of sophistication, I mean, I think one of the things that sets us apart from a number of other folks is that we have built our products and services with our customer in mind. So the whole look and feel, the usability is designed for them. So as I mentioned to you earlier, you know, we don't need to explain to them what kind of backend we use, whether we use the blockchain or otherwise. Just like, you know, if you're a banking customer, you don't want to check what kind of core banking system they have. You just want to know it's safe and you can trust them and you can get your money in and out whenever you want. So that's what we focus on in our marketing and in our education with our customers. So from that perspective, making sure that we create the right kind of application for them as we move forward with the funds that we hope to raise through the token sales is fundamentally important. Making sure that the gold-backed token, the way that they can access the gold-backed token is in a way that they can do in 3 easy steps is going to be crucial for the success. I mean, you have to go through multiple steps and you create wallets, crypto wallets that require a huge amount of effort. I think that's going to be quite challenging. So whether we do that in-house or whether we work with other parties, because they have more specialist capabilities in creating the right kind of crypto wallet, I think is going to be important. Then lastly, in terms of KYC and identification, there are a number of firms out there already today working hard in this space. One of the things, coming back to the Tanzanian example, you know, they see us as the savings provider. They want us to work with the guys that are figuring out how to provide irrefutable identification for people that are stateless through the blockchain, which is really cool if you think about it, right? I mean, these guys have no identity, and hopefully with the use of the blockchain, they can now have a real provable state.
Got it. Very cool. So to go back to fundraising a little bit, you guys are heading toward a token sale. Can you talk a little bit about maybe like how much funding you've had so far, and then how much funding are you attempting to raise in your sale? And also, what is the relationship between like equity investors and token investors?
Okay. So why don't I answer the first one, where we are in the process, and then I'll let Roger talk about the process in a lot more detail and what we're trying to achieve this year, next year, and the year after. So we're about 3-4 weeks, less than 4 weeks to go, 3 weeks to go for our token sale. Our pre-sale activity has been pretty good. We've been building a pretty solid pipeline of folks that want to come in at the pre-sale level. So we are, I think I can, okay, I don't want to jinx it, but I think we're pretty confident that we've hit our floor, more than hit our floor, and you know, we should hit our pre-sale targets with given the momentum that we have generated so far. But I don't want to talk numbers because, you know, I don't want to jinx anything. But Roger can talk about the sale process.
So the way we're doing the token sales, we're selling these HelloGold tokens, which will receive the gold-backed tokens as a reward for supporting us. We're going to do that in 3 rounds. So the first round is this year, 2017, and then we'll have subsequent rounds in 2018 and 2019. We've done that to provide assurance to the supporters that we're doing the right thing with the money when they give it to the HelloGold Foundation. The round 1 this year, we're splitting into 2 parts. The first part is a pre-sale, which has a minimum investment for $30,000 US equivalent in Ethereum, in ETH. For individuals and 500,000 for corporates. And we're doing that so that the whales can get into the system. We're then going to run the public sale from the 28th of August. And we're going to do that, and we're going to cap that at 10 ETH per person, or per wallet, I should say, investment. And when I say per person, we're going to do a KYC process on all the individuals who come into that sale to try and mean that we spread the opportunity for people to get in, so it's not all taken up by a couple of big investors. Hopefully that'll give people more access, but also provide more liquidity for people in the future as well.
Yeah, and so adding to the 3-year process, the reason why we decided to do this is because we have a pretty defined roadmap as to what we want to achieve, depending on how much we raise over the next 12 months. And we believe that, you know, once we raise these things, the market, the token holders can judge us, right? And the market in general can judge us. If we've delivered on what we set out to do, and we then raise the second year's fundraise with deliverables for the following 12 months or so, you know, if we delivered everything that we said we would, then the market will hopefully reward us for that. If we don't, then, you know, there may not be a second round, and so on and so forth with a third round. So that's what we believe is fundamentally important in making sure that we as a business deliver to our supporters in the token sale what we set out to do.
Okay, I think the other thing that's probably important in that to add to that is the fact that it's a capped token sale. It's not a, you know, to the moon, sky's the limit. So we've capped it based on knowing what we need to expand the business in 2 ways. One is to expand the regional expansion, so getting into Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, China, and then secondly expanding the technology as well that comes with that. So that means adding on to the new features and providing greater depth of service around the technology and providing greater support around the technology to support that expansion, support the expansion of the core product.
Yeah. And also, like I said, you know, for the things that we're now getting traction with the idea of the gold-backed token, you know, a large chunk of this will go towards that. And, you know, and hopefully we should see over the next 12 months, you know, how well we deliver on that and what the traction is from the marketplace in terms of the end user.
Got it. So one interesting thing you guys are doing is you're doing multiple rounds, right? So it sounds like, at least from what I read, you have about a billion unit token supply. I think about 18% or so, correct me if I'm wrong, is coming out in the first round.
Yeah, so that's correct. So we've got a billion HelloGold tokens in total to sell, of which 200 million are allocated to this pre-sale, and another 180 million are to the public sale.
So you're basically going to sell just about 38% between pre-sale and public sale.
Yes.
Publicly, and then on top of that, you're going to have a round 2 and a round 3 in the future. Is that right?
Yeah.
Do you have a sense of like what percentage those rounds will constitute, or is that going to be determined based on, I guess, like valuation at the time?
Yeah, I mean, the guesstimate at this point, looking 12 months ahead, is that there will be equal rounds. But obviously, it's going to be a function of how well we do, what funds we need, how fast we want to grow, etc. But you know, the first thing is, you know, we got to deliver on the next 12 months. No one's going to reward us.
Well, just one interesting thing that we've run into at CoinFund is like, it's kind of like if you fix a priori kind of what your rounds are, and then you do like really, really well, you might set sort of a target. You might set a target for round 2, which is kind of quite a bit higher than you might even want, right? And then you might even create risks for the project in terms of under raising if that number is too high. I guess like you always have the option of sort of like burning some tokens that you've allocated for the sale in order to correct that. But I was just curious, like how do you think about it?
Well, the thing is this, right? I mean, we are 15 people. I mean, we're going to onboard another double our team size. That takes time to find the right talent and to onboard them. At the very minimum, 3 to 4 months if they're good, right? So there's only so much you can realistically do with money. And I mean, I guess if you were to spend it randomly and there was no recourse, then fine. But you know, if you're going to work on a project, there's only so much you can do within 12 months with the team that you have. And so we're pretty confident that the amount that we're planning to raise is going to be sufficient for the work that we do. It may be more, it may be slightly less, but you know, I was a CFO in my previous life, so I'm relatively comfortable in figuring out, our ability to deploy resources, both human and financial, over a 12-year period. And I don't see us being able to, even if we were to raise all $24 million now, effectively, we wouldn't be able to spend it fast enough within a 12-month period. It's just not possible.
Mm-hmm. So one thing that has happened in the United States is sort of the SEC has come out about 2 weeks ago now, kind of making a comment that DAO tokens are securities, and really sort of saying what seems to be that regulatory compliance is going to be a pretty big issue going forward, and something we'll be looking into, especially as it relates to the U.S. securities regime, with respect to digital tokens. So, how do you guys look at that? Is your sale going to be available to U.S. investors? And if so, will you argue that your token is a utility token being used on a platform?
Okay, so the easy answer to that is the token sale isn't open to U.S. investors. So we don't have to deal with that problem. But more seriously, the way that we've constructed and worked on our token sale is that we worked within the constraints of Singapore regulation, which is where we are located. So we've taken extensive legal advice and spent a huge amount of time structuring our offering to make sure that it fell within the constraints that we have to operate under. So we are confident that, at least under this Singaporean regime, it is not a security.
Have you found that that you had enough resources to now that a bunch of token sales already have taken place over the last 2 to 3 years or so? Have you found enough expertise in your jurisdiction to navigate those issues?
Okay, so I was actually a regulator in my past life. So so the short answer is no. I think, look, 2 years in the lifespan of an investment class is a very short period of time. And until the regulators come in to clarify, as they've done recently, everyone's kind of giving their best opinion as to how to interpret the laws within what you're trying to achieve. I think it's probably true to say that's still the case today. We've engaged our legal team for the best part of 4 to 5 months to come up with the structure that we have. And as a former regulator, I've worked alongside them to make sure that I was comfortable in terms of how they were interpreting what we're doing relative to the regulation of the land. But ultimately, it's the regulator that decides, right? And so I don't think anyone. I think at this stage, it's hard to say that there's sufficient resources anywhere in the world, or at least not in Singapore, and also, there's just not enough case history to be confident. It's not like you're creating an IPO where you have hundreds of years of history behind you and extensive regulation to fall back on. I mean, you're interpreting regulation that had never contemplated something like this before.
Gotcha. And so like in the data that we have seen, it seems like the U.S. is a major market for token sale capital. Usually accounts for something between like 40 and 50% of the capital collected in token sales, kind of based on some just a few data points that we've seen. Would you have had U.S. participants? Is that a desirable audience for your project if there weren't kind of regulatory barriers, or do you think that sort of raising around Asia and outside of the U.S. is just fine for what you guys are trying to do?
Okay, so the two parts of that question. I think given the size that we're raising, we're relatively confident that doing ex-US will work for us. But from a kind of more holistic perspective, yes, for sure, right? I think the whole idea of the whole digital space that we're now in is that it's inclusive and no one should be excluded. So for us, that's just it's an unfortunate impact of US regulation right now. But yeah, I mean, ideally, we want everyone that wants to participate in this this project to be able to do so, because I think what we're trying to do is can add its impact onto the people that a lot of people are concerned about, and the 98%.
Would you say that the biggest issue for, like, you know, standing between you guys and offering a sale in the US, is it the cost of sort of defensive registrations and things like that? Is it the fact that you kind of see the system as a little bit unfair toward, you know, the general retail investor population? Like, what's the thing that would get you over the hurdle and into kind of like a regulated sale in the US, if anything?
I don't know. I guess if I saw a lot of token sales offering their sales to the US US investors coming out of Asia, then that may sway me. You know, as a business, you know, we given our attitude towards risk management, you know, we're pretty conservative. I mean, if you think about what we're trying to do, the funds that we're trying to raise, people are trying to target our modus operandi, it all talks to a more conservative angle rather than a more aggressive one.
Gotcha. And I have one more kind of big question for you guys, and then I'll let you, you know, sort of talk a little bit about where you want people viewing this to maybe go to learn more about HelloGold and your offering and so on. So my last kind of question is, there's definitely a few players in the gold-backed digital asset space. How do you see your team in relation to some of the projects that might be competitive with you guys, and why do you think you guys are a worthwhile kind of competitor in that vertical?
Okay, so let me answer that in a slightly different way. There, you know, studies have shown there's about $5 trillion worth of gold above ground today, of which about 1 trillion is held by central banks. And if you think about what constitutes the rest, I estimated it to be anything between $2.5 to $3.5 trillion of gold being held as a proxy for an investment product. That's a lot of gold for people that already have gold, let alone the folks that we're trying to give access to gold. You know, there may be 5 or 6 or 10 startups in this area trying to do gold, but the space is so wide. You know, there's some folks that are targeting the mass affluent or the high net worths, you know, which is great because, you know, everyone, there's a need for gold-backed tokens for these folks. We're targeting the unbanked and the underserved, and that's what we're going to be focused on for the foreseeable future. And we have, you know, opportunities to branch out into the mass affluent and high net worths. That may be a side project to create more awareness about what we're doing. But our core focus is really on, you know, the guys that don't have a choice. You know, we just don't believe that the amount of cash you have in your wallet should be a barrier to your ability to get access to the same kind of financial products that the rich have, or that you have, or folks have in Singapore in a developed market. We just think that's fundamentally unfair. And, you know, and if 10 players come in to do that, fantastic. You know, I don't see it as competition because the opportunities are so big. It's just, you know, there's a lot of people to serve.
Well, absolutely. I mean, competition seems to signal you guys are onto something, right? People are competing for a viable business model here. That's also great for customers because chances are, you know, your competition will drive, you know, down the prices and increase the efficiency of these systems.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's great. Where should people go to learn more about you guys and about your token sale?
Okay, so if you want to know about a token sale, you need to go to hellogold.org. So that's hellogold.org. On there are a couple of white papers. There's a copy of our business plan. There's a copy of our technical white paper, and there's also an information sheet that provides all the information about the token sale. There's also a link to the Slack channel that you guys can jump on and ask us any questions, either in the general discussions or in direct messaging. There's also an email that you can sign up there. And if you want to know a little bit more about the team and a bit more about background to us, we also have a Medium blog chat channel as well, medium.com/HelloGold. And there's a bit sort of a broader range of articles there that give a bit more color about the team, and also give you a bit more detail about Dave and his experience and the work that he does in the community, in the blockchain community, supporting the different things that are going on in the Ethereum network.
And if you want to look at the business, the market-facing side, is what our customers see, you can go to HelloGold.com.
Excellent. So token sale at HelloGold is coming up in just about 3 weeks from now, almost exactly 3 weeks from now. Check out the site and the materials. And guys, I wish you luck in your endeavors, and thank you for coming on and telling us about your project.
Thanks a lot. Okay.
All right. Awesome. Thanks.
Cheers. Take care.
Take care.